Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at 284 Media, we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. Gentlemen, aspiring gentlemen, and of course, our partners that hold us down. I'm Ron Grant. Welcome back to Season 7 of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show that is poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. Now don't worry, it's not about suits and bow ties, but instead real-life lessons that truly translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded people. Thank you all for taking this amazing journey with me. My next guest is literally a star. He continues to give of his time and expertise, not only to impart wisdom and understanding to the next generation. He's a minister of the gospel. He is a philanthropist, a grounded psychotherapist that continues to do his part to make sure that persons continue to understand the importance of being in their best mental space. I'm talking about none other than the one and only Dr. Albert Thompkins. He is a father, husband, and of course continues to do a lot for our community. We're going to sit down and talk to him about a number of things. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break. Brilliant Hands and Minds Tutoring Services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. As promised, we are talking with the doctor himself. The doctor is in.
How you doing, sir?
Dr. Albert Thompkins. Welcome, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank
pretty
you.
Good.
Awesome.
Now, when we see Albert, when we see him not only in ministry, with family, you are always cool, calm, and collected. And you're not much of a yapper, but I assume that is because you do a really, really good job at listening. For those who don't know, who is Albert Thompkins?
Well, I would say, as you stated, I am a psychotherapist. I'm a husband. And I'm just a man that's on a mission to help people, really. I love people, always have. And you are right. I'm not a big yapper per se, but I've always had this gift of people love to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
I could be standing anywhere. I could be in a local grocery store and someone come next to me and start telling me the life story out of the blue. I don't know this person, but yet I'll sit there and I'll listen, and for some reason they feel comfortable and share with me. My wife is always amazed when it happens, but that's my gift, and I'm happy to use it for helping people and helping the territory.
I do believe that is your gift. How did you get into therapy? How did you choose that as a profession?
Well, funny story, because my undergrad is actually in economics and finance.
Okay.
I started in Deutsche Bank as a funds analyst, and then I also was in ministry back in the States as a youth leader.
Okay.
And the kids back then were giving me some really interesting stories about their lives, about their history, their trauma, about self-harm.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to have an uncle in Florida who was a clinical psychologist. And I was telling him, and he was like, listen, Albert, you need to get some training on this, man, because they seem to like you. So he encouraged me to get a master's degree. I started in social work, clinical social work particularly, and I fell in love with it. And it was a natural thing for me to fall into. And from there, I decided to leave the bank, got into counseling, psychotherapy, and then I went full-time into that and got my doctorate, and now we're here.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. What is the most enjoyable part about your job?
I was telling my wife the other day, really it's about when I say something or a person finally is able to get something off their chest and they're like, man, I feel much better. I get so much joy out of that.
Nice.
Because really now they find a safe place to have a confidential conversation and really get some help for some things that they've been struggling for years.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing that joy, that freedom, that liberty really does a lot for me. That's why I enjoy it.
Well, one of the things that since we're on this conversation that I would like to share, I've never shared it publicly, and I have no problems doing it.
Mhm.
But one of the most helpful things for me throughout my progression in life has been therapy.
Mhm.
And I say to persons all the time, you don't have to go every week. You don't have the frequency could be based on you.
Indeed.
But it has been so effective and so helpful in me channeling through a number of emotions and anxiety
Mhm.
and being able to just maneuver through the challenges of life. But it's odd because it's still it's still a bit of a taboo in our
Indeed.
culture.
It
I
is.
remember saying to a relative years ago.
Mhm.
This was when I was in college, and I was doing therapy, and the individual said, "Oh Lord, you're crazy."
Right.
And listen, I almost fell out
Yeah.
laughing because it
Yeah.
was just so funny to me that someone would equate therapy for
Mhm.
somebody being crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
culturally,
It is.
that's kind of the norm.
It
What do you
is.
say to that level of taboo? And for persons who, I guess, for fear of feeling like they are, or having persons see them in that light, they
Sure.
don't seek help.
Yeah. So I always tell people you have to look at our history. We're
Mm.
very resilient people, not only here in the Caribbean, but African Americans in America and throughout the diaspora. We've been very resilient. We're strong-minded people. We've been through so much. So, we had to just suck it up and move forward. We had to do it. But now that we've gained some economic advances, we're doing well. It comes with some stress that we're not really maybe used to per
course.
se. The stresses of life, social media, those things, and so it's okay to get help with that part of your body because I believe, really, mental health is actually more important than your overall health because mental health actually drives your overall health,
Agreed.
right? And so if you're going to get, a physical from a physician, why not just, talking to a professional about what's going on mentally? And the Bible talks about that, love the Lord, that God with all of your heart, your soul, and your mind, and your strength. That those are your psyche. So indeed, I think it's encouraged, and I think we should do it. And don't feel ashamed, don't feel embarrassed, and find someone that you feel comfortable with. I think that's the key there.
And that is male or female. It doesn't
Male
matter.
or female. And male
Absolutely.
in particular, I would love, and I have a lot of male clients and men who before never had a safe space to talk.
Why is that?
I think we've been socialized, first of all, to be a man. What does that mean? Suck it up, do your job, take care of your family. And we don't have, I don't think, the language or the words sometimes to express our true feelings. Although I do believe, this might be controversial, I do believe men are just as or more emotional than women.
Okay.
I really believe that.
Okay.
And I always say, someone talks to my wife, I'm going to be jealous. Or we love sports, and you see us interacting, expressing all kinds of emotions.
Adrenaline,
Yeah, so we have it there. But just we may not have the language or the words or the vocabulary to kind of express it. So my job is to give you a comfortable space to share, and all of a sudden now you understand who you are. You're now in line. You have inner peace because I don't think there can be outer peace unless you have inner peace. So you begin to have inner peace, and all of a sudden now you impact your family, your children, your society, and it starts to a man. So I think if we can now get to a place where we trust a man to talk to a man, we'll be much better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And we'd have better men.
Yes, we do.
In our
Exactly. Society, exactly. In a better world in particular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, through your company, Livingston Counseling Services,
Mhm.
you sit down and you talk to a lot of people.
Yes.
In confidence, of course, and they just dump. Who counsels the counselor?
I'm glad you asked that question because everyone asked me that, right?
Okay.
The reality is, to get my degree, I had to go through counseling,
Okay.
right? So I understand the process. I know how it feels on the other side. They ask questions, right? But I always say, a dentist has to go to another dentist. A surgeon can't do surgery himself. He has to go somewhere else. So a therapist has to go to another therapist. That's what it boils down to. I do have a number of therapists that I go to. Depending what's going on, maybe my marriage, maybe personally, professionally, I have mentors. So I do see some of myself. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. You talked about resilience, us being a resilient people, and you happen to be from one of, in my opinion, one of the most resilient islands within the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
You are of Anegadian descent.
Yes, sir.
And I say that with no hesitation because the people of Anegada have, for a long time, and they still do, have to deal with a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But the level of resilience that I see uh, being put forth is really remarkable.
Indeed.
Tell me about your very rich family connections to Anegada, and what has it done for you?
It's meant the world to me, honestly.
Hmm.
My mother is from Inagata, her side of the family. My grandfather, from Inagata. And although I was raised in Long Island, New York, we were raised as Inagatians in Long Island, New York.
Mm.
We really lived through the war. I tell people that because mothers are really influential. They cook for you. They teach you what their mothers taught them. So being in Long Island, we had all my cousins because my mother left, I want to say in the 60s,
Okay.
during a time when it was really tough in Agata. And they were looking for opportunities because nothing was going on that island. Everything was focused on Tortola,
Yes.
right? So her and some of her siblings left together, went to New York, started a family, started life. So with my dad, and so therefore, I was brought into the earth. But she always taught us these core principles that I still execute to this day, and I still try for this day. Resilience, community, pride. My mother was very proud for being an Inagani.
Mm-hmm.
When people ask her, where are you from? She said, I'm from Inagata. Now, not that they know where that is,
Absolutely.
but she would say, I'm from Inagata, head up,
Yeah.
proudly. And they'd be like, where's that? She'd say, okay, the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
So to me, because of my Inagatan blood, I consider myself an Inagatian. Although I wasn't born there, I didn't have the privilege to be raised there, but my brothers did actually.
Mm-hmm.
They went to school there for a while. And that connection has given me such great foundation and connection of who I am. Because again, I still abide by those principles to this day.
I would never forget while on a Rotary mission to Anegada, we were doing some work. You're a fellow Rotarian. We both serve in the same club, Rotary Club of Sunrise.
Yes.
And we happened to be passing the memorial site. And I'd never forget the look on your face of just not only remembrance, but pride and gratitude. And you literally went somewhere else for a few seconds to just take in the aura of all that was surrounding us. And you've always spoken so highly of your mom. What did that relationship mean to you?
A lot, because she taught me about really who I am in a lot of ways. She was strict. Yeah, I got licks, but the love that she had for Inagata, the love she had for her people, really impacted me heavily. And so yes, after she passed away in 2020, we had to bring her back, fly back from New York, and bury her properly in Inagata. So when I left, I went to go visit there just to remind myself why I'm here. Why did I come back to the BVI? Because I could have stayed in the States, but I wanted my children to know the culture. I wanted them to know, where their grandmother came from, where some of their roots are from. So I moved my family back here back in 2014, and it's been a great opportunity to be here. Beautiful. I love my Virgin Islands, and I'm here to help and contribute. And having that relationship with my mother was very influential for that.
Amazing, amazing. Viewers, we are hearing and talking to the man himself, Dr. Albert Thompkins, minister of the gospel, a therapist, psychotherapist, and of course, continues to give of his time. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We got a lot more to talk about. We'll be right back.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. As discussed earlier, we are here with the man himself, Dr. Albert Thompkins. Now, I have to talk about ministry because that takes up quite a bit of your time.
Yes.
How did you, or at what point, I'd phrase it, did you decide to answer the calling to be a minister of the gospel?
It's funny you say it that way because I ran for it for years. People may not know, but I'm a fourth generation pastor.
Okay.
My great grandfather on my father's side was a pastor. My grandfather on my father's side was a pastor. My father was a pastor. My grandfather on my mother's side was a pastor. So it was almost expected for me.
Okay.
And I resisted so much to do this because I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
You know, churches are full of people and people have issues. So I've seen a lot. I was like, you know what? This is not for me. So it wasn't until I was in college where God began to deal with me. He would visit my dreams. I couldn't sleep. I knew what was going on, but I was resisting it. And I came to a place where I said, you know what? All right, I yield. I was so much pressure financially, mentally, you know, trying to find a career, trying to find my way who I am. And he disturbed me. He wouldn't let me have peace. And when I finally yielded and said, okay, God, whatever you want to do, I'll do. I gave my life to the Lord. I was in a great ministry in Nashville, Tennessee. And I was sitting there and all of a sudden, you know, God dealt with me about, you know, helping people in a unique kind of way, spoken word and also interventions and counseling. And I was like, okay, we'll see. But then a minister in that church came and said, listen, God told me to tell you, you're called and you know it. And that was a kind of confirmation. I was like, okay, here we go. So I began getting training. And so here I am today. Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about ministry?
I enjoy people being set free, literally. I don't particularly enjoy the hype and pumping people up. I'm not into that. I want true, genuine change. So seeing a person go from, let's say, being on the streets or dealing with some harsh issues they had, and then going from being liberated, being free from that, it's an amazing feeling. And I actually see it not only in ministry, but I see it also in counseling, which I think is a form of ministry. I have certain clients that were in certain situations, maybe the prison system, and now when I meet with them, they're out now, they're doing so well. They're praying, saying in Jesus' name, these are thugs, gangsters, that now call in the name of Jesus, have a totally different perspective. They're good fathers. I love that. I love it.
Seeing people be set free.
Being set free.
Could not have said that any better.
Yeah, that's what I love.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
On the realm of ministry, I remember having a discussion with someone a few months ago, and I said to them, and it was out of the utmost respect, but I said to them that the body that they were, the organization, and it's the BVI Christian Council, right?
Okay.
And I felt as though the council was, and the council is a representation of ministers, okay?
Correct.
But I felt as though that they were not perhaps taking up their rightful place, which is as polite as I could put it.
Okay.
Would you say that the church is aware of its responsibility and its mandate?
I think we used to be aware of it, and I think we have let it slip. If you look at church history, biblical history, I mean, Jesus was a political figure, so much so that they thought he was going to overthrow the Roman government. That's how political he was. And they've looked at the first church in the book of Acts and how the political leaders hated these guys. They weren't having church out in the open. They didn't have big churches. They were hiding in homes, going from place to place because they were so influential. Do you look at the history of African Americans, even here in the BVI, how the church played an important role in us being liberated and being free? What happened? Where's the disconnect? The great man, Bishop John Abin Klein said one time, we survived poverty, but will we survive prosperity? It's a good question. So I think us being maybe a form of prosperity that we don't understand its responsibility, I think we've lost it in a sense. So I think now social media is actually forcing us to now remember who we are. These political pressures are a time for us to stand up and say, we are here to represent the kingdom in the earth. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
You're presently serving as the director of student affairs as well as a student counselor.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about that role?
I love dealing with the youth because they're not jaded yet. You know, they want to be helped, and then giving them advice of the things I've been through, and again, see them liberated is like, oh, I don't have to be bound by this, or this is another way to think about my education, or maybe I actually do have a purpose. Because unfortunately, because of social media, a lot of times they don't think they have a purpose. They're just floating. They're getting jealous of other people. I'm like, listen, find out who you are.
Beautiful.
And that light goes off, and it's like, it's wonderful. I love this job.
Amazing, amazing. What would you have said to a community college Albert at that time?
At that time, I would tell him, trust that small, still voice that you hear. Trust that gut feeling that you have about yourself. Believe you. Because that took me a long time to realize who I was. And because of that, I tried to be other people. Things that I thought I wanted to be, things that I thought I wanted to have. And it was like, no, find out who you are first, man. Once you find and get self-awareness, everything else is simple after that.
Amazing.
So that's what I would tell the young Albert.
Beautiful. One of the things that you enjoy very much, and I know this because you are a great husband and father, is exactly that. You love your family.
I do.
What has the role of a husband and father taught you? What has that journey been like?
Man, it's been an amazing journey. Matter of fact, my first child, my son, Albert the 5th, his birthday was yesterday.
Great.
He was 22. And the way he came on the scene was just a miracle. It really is, because he was a micro preemie. So he was born 1 pound and 10 ounces, little small thing. And my wife had a C-section. He came out the womb. The doctor said, here he is. And I looked at him. I said, is he okay? She said, yes, and ran off. I said, wait. So that journey then to now has been amazing. A beautiful daughter, raising them, seeing them grow up, you know, and then seeing them transition from being in Texas to Tortola, going to school here. It's been a wonderful experience. It has taught me that life is fluid. And you have to be able to really know what you stand for. Compromise on what doesn't matter. It's okay. But your core principles, let that be a guiding light. And that has taught me so much. And to this day, it carries me. Yeah.
Wonderful. I have to ask you some fun questions.
Sure.
Your favorite Virgin Islands cuisine?
I was thinking about this the other day. I loved my mother's BBI pea soup. With some dumb bread, oi, cheese and bread. I love it.
Okay. And now your favorite Southern food? My
favorite Southern food? I love desserts. Okay, so I love like peach cobbler. Okay. Oh my Lord. Okay. Or banana pudding. Lord of mercy.
Gotcha.
I love that stuff. But the funny thing is though, real quick, I'm sorry. Yeah. Funny thing is when we're in the States, like Thanksgiving dinner, it'd be mostly BVI food. Okay. Plus a couple of American things, but we have everything laid out.
But I love that, and I can understand that because you mentioned earlier that your mom never allowed you guys to forget that you were from Manigata. So not because you were in New York meant that you were all of a sudden technically confined to the American way of life.
Exactly.
You brought that culture. She
sure
brought
did.
That culture with you. So that makes perfect sense. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so very much
for
your amazing story and your gift of being able to listen and help others through whatever it is they're experiencing, imparting wisdom to the next generation through your role as a school counselor. But most importantly, being a true representative of God and what He's called us to be. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. We're proud of you, and we're happy that you're back home.
Thanks, Ron. Really appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely.
Do your thing, man. Appreciate you.
Viewers, that is all the time we have. We have been speaking to the one and only Dr. Albert Thompkins, a remarkable, I would say, gift and treasure that has continued to bless us, and we're grateful for it. Thank you all for sitting with me, and have a beautiful rest of the day. I'll see you next week.